Hey folks, I recently posted my updated 1 to 70 leveling guide for Horde players in the War Within. While the guide has included a few minor route adjustments from the Dragonflight version, one thing that hasn't changed at all is the importance of rare mobs, specifically ones found in Cataclysm Revamp zones. There's a ton of these enemies scattered throughout my 10 to 70 route, and each one that you kill gives roughly a quest's worth of experience. Because of this, I thought it would be important to create a centralized compendium of every single rare mob that you'll encounter within Silverpine and Hillsbrad, the two main zones in my 10 to 70 Horde route. Note that I won't be covering every single rare mob in the zones mentioned, as some of them are too far off the beaten path to be worth hunting for. The only ones I'll discuss will be rares that you have a high chance of running into while following my guide. We'll begin by going through the first zone in the Horde route, Silverpine Forest. Upon entering the zone, you'll find the first rare mob, Chromie, which is a bat flying in the air north of Forsaken High Command. As you complete the first few quests along Lordamere Lake, you'll encounter 4 different rare mobs. The first is Gorefang, a wolf which can be found wandering along the shoreline. A bit further inland, you'll find Nightlash, which is a banshee that patrols around the Decrepit Fields subzone. The third of these rares, Nath, can be found in a small puddle underneath the nearby bridge. Finally, as you cross the central road, you'll be able to find a dwarf rare named Bulgath the Mad Hunter. The next rare mob you'll encounter should be Krethis the Shadow Spinner, which can be found patrolling around this area near the western coast. During Dragonflight, Blizzard re-added a few rare mobs to Silverpine that were lost in Cataclysm, and the first of these is Snarlmane. He can be found in the basement of Fenris Isle, though due to phasing issues, he may not be accessible if you try to find him later on in the questline. After reaching the Sepulchre, there's a few more rares that you might run into, the first of which is Berard the Mooncrazed, who can be found on the western edge of Ulson's Farthing. Once you've completed the quests at Deep Ellum Mine, you can head up the cliff to your right and kill the rare Loskilnean War Dog. Immediately afterwards, you'll want to jump off the nearby cliff and head to the dock on Lordamere Lake, where you can find a neutral rare named Fenwick Thatros. Another rare re-added during Dragonflight is Ravenclaw Regent, who can be found sitting on a small island just to the north of this quest hub. After completing all of the quests in Gilneas, which is a zone that contains 0 rares, you'll be directed towards Ambermill, and this contains our next rare, Aquarius the Unbound. He patrols in a wide loop around the town, so it might take you some time to find him. Ambermill Spellscribe is the final new rare mob in this video that was re-added to the game back in Dragonflight. You'll be able to find this mob on the second floor of an empty house north of the Ambermill quest area. Around this time, you'll receive a quest that sends you to the Dalaran crater in Hillsbrad Foothills, and within this area you'll encounter a rare blue dragon named Indigos. While this mob technically isn't in Silverpine Forest, you'll encounter it while doing that zone's questline, so I think it's worth including in this section of the video. Once you return to the Forsaken Front, you'll be able to hunt 3 different rare mobs. The first is Thule Ravenclaw, which can be found near a tent just north of the flight point. If you head south towards the entrance of Shadowfang Keep, you'll encounter a rare vulture named Corpsefeeder and a rare gargoyle named Aphritis. It's worth noting that Corpsefeeder sits right next to a phase boundary, so you should try to attack him from range and drag him closer to you. If you get too close, you might phase over into the Forsaken Front and the rare will reset. The final rare in Silverpine Forest is the Lost Son of Aragol, but he has a massive patrol range that spans the entire zone. I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to hunt for him, so just consider yourself lucky if he happens to cross your path. You may recall from my Dragonflight route that Hillsbrad Foothills has a ton of rares, but in my previous route I only recommended killing 19 of them. Thanks to the addition of low-level skywriting in the War Within, we're able to include a few extra rares in the route that are a bit further off the beaten path. The first rare you'll encounter in this zone is Scargill, which is a murloc that can be found along the southwestern coast. Little Bjorn is a bear that can be found sleeping on the hill just above Scargill. When completing the quests within Azurlode Mine, you can head all the way to the back in order to find Miasmus, a rare spider. Once you've completed every quest at the Sludge Fields, you'll want to take a brief detour to the Western Mountains in order to find the Dark Prowler, a rare cat. In the areas surrounding the ruins of Southshore, you'll encounter 5 different rare mobs, the first of which is Elitis, a bird that can be found circling this broken tower. Along the coastline, you'll encounter Karsanak, a rare crab, and another giant rare spider named Creepthess can be found at the top of a nearby hill. Lady Zephyrus is a rare naga that you can find if you travel east along the Hillsbrad coast, and Robark is a gnoll that patrols around the Thander Stead, which is one of the subzones that you'll be sent to as part of the questline. After you get teleported to Purgation Isle, keep an eye out for Dustwing, which is a rare moth that flies fairly high above the entrance to the island. Upon reaching Terran Mill, I recommend taking a detour to check for 7 different rare mobs. First, you might find a worm named Chordic swimming in a pond south of Terran Mill. A rare turtle named Cranky Benj can be found patrolling up and down the river that cuts through the middle of the zone. Sitting on a nearby hill is Big Samrus, a rare bear. A bit further up north, just above the Horde entrance to Alterac Valley, is Magarak, a rare elemental. Within the nearby town of Stronbrad, you can encounter Gravis Slipknot, a rare human that patrols between a small hut and the town hall. If you travel even further to the north, you may find a rare ogre named Logrosh inside of a small cave. Finally, if you fly over to the western edge of the Alterac Mountains, you'll encounter another cave that may contain Scowl, a rare yeti. The next 3 rare mobs can all be found in quick succession, as they're located along the northern stretch of hills. On the southernmost point of the hill, Koran's Dagger, you'll find a rare human named Jimmy the Bleeder. Sitting at an identical position on the following hill called the Headland, you'll find a rare cat named Araga. Lastly, inside of the cave below Araga that contains a ton of yetis, you'll be able to locate Weevil, a rare beetle. The final rare that you'll encounter in Hillspread Foothills and the entire Horde 10 to 70 route is Lopex, a fox found inside of this tree stump just north of Durnhold Keep. And with that, we've covered every important rare that appears on my 1 to 70 leveling route for Horde. If you want more information about how these rares fit into the route, you can watch the video guide shown on screen now, or check the written version of my guide, which is linked in the video description below.